Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled parents, where an entitled mom thinks I should give her kid a computer for Christmas, even though I have no obligation towards them. And another way crazy story. I hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get started, shall we? No hiccup. For our first story we have, a mom apparently thinks I should let her child hit me. I'm a preschooler teacher. Oh, I've got some fun stories. Today a mom put in a complaint about me. Her kids are twins, 3 years old, and they're an absolute mess. I love all the kids, but these two are something else. Their names are incredibly similar. First of all, picture a parent naming their twins Candy and Mandy or Mackenzie and McKinley. So these girls don't know their own names. They both think their name is Mackenzie. They came into my class not potty trained. They barely know any letters and colors and have a low vocabulary even though they have an older sibling. Both parents and a nanny taking care of them. They hit and shove each other, pull each other's hair, and try to stick their fingers in each other's eyes. They have literally stepped on my other kids to get where they're going because they're so used to always having their way. One of them, McKinley, can be cute, and I had already made progress with her. She's using the potty by herself now, knows a few colors, and is starting to respond to correct name. And then there's Mackenzie. This child clutches her pearls and gets offended if I ask her to do basic things like clean up her toys, go potty, or line up for recess. She gets angry if she's told to say please, screams chicken if she doesn't like her lunch, and says no while giggling to everything she's told to do. Now, I would speak to her entitled mother at pickup about the behavioral issues, but even I softened it and didn't tell her everything her kid does. EM would insist that all of their behavioral issues were because they speak two languages. Sorry, Mackenzie knows exactly what go potty means, so she just doesn't like to do it, fam. So last night, she was throwing a bigger fit than usual. I told her she could stand up and walk to the potty or I could carry her, but laying down and kicking her feet was not an option. She didn't get up, so I picked her up and took her to the bathroom. I gave her a minute to stand still and calm down, then told her again to use the potty. She immediately slapped me hard in the arm. This was the first time she's hit someone other than her twin. I made her go potty and made her sit in the library away from the other children because she was still throwing her tantrum, and I didn't want her to hit another kid. I take hitting very seriously, so I told her she needed to sit until she could be nice again or until mommy got there so I could talk to her. Mackenzie kept screaming and stomping, so I left her alone to cool down, since my sitting by her was only enraging her more. Cue entitled mom picking her up. She was rushing to get her screaming kids out, so I only had time to tell her that Mackenzie was sitting out of the group because she hit and wasn't being safe. EM asked why she'd hit, and I explained it was because she was refusing to go potty again. And EM said, Mackenzie, no, you need to be nice, and rushed them out. This morning, when I arrived, EM was in my boss's office, throwing a fit and demanding the twins be removed from my room. I wasn't there for the conversation, but my boss called me in later to talk about it. Apparently, EM described last night was the teacher put Mackenzie in timeout for not going potty, which totally was not what happened. I was on the verge of a panic attack all day because I didn't know what was going on or what I had done wrong. My boss was fine with it once I explained, just told me to make sure I'm conscious of how things look to parents when they pick up their kids. The twins were moved to the other preschool class. At the end of the day, I overheard the teacher crying to the manager because EM had bowled her out over something. The woman cannot handle her children getting any kind of discipline whatsoever, but unfortunately, schools have schedules to keep, and we can't spend 45 minutes waiting for your child to decide to go potty on their own. When she first enrolled them, she asked my co-teacher if we could spoon feed them. They're in preschool, lady. They don't do spoon feeding anymore. Their classmates speak in full sentences, draw detailed pictures, count to 30, say the entire alphabet, and some can write their names already. I'm so hoping EM just pulls them out of my school, because if she tries to put them in my class again, I'm not taking them. I'm not going to put my entire class behind because I have 2 children in my class who I'm not allowed to teach. That's a W of a teacher right there. Just don't feed the entitled people. But sadly, that's not always able to be the case for teachers. So they're honestly not paid enough for the work they do, if I'm going to be completely honest. Okay, now for our story, entitled Mom Thinks I Should Give Her Kid a Computer for Christmas. This happened a few years ago. The key is EM is entitled Mother. Sister-in-law is Sil. Entitled Child is EC, or entitled Mom's Child. My brother had married my sister-in-law a year or so prior, and I had grown very close with her, both her and her kids, referring to them as my nephews instead of my step-nephews. Furthermore, my brother already had 2 of his own kids, of which my step-nephews immediately took in as their siblings. So the family dynamic there has honestly been great. When my nephews found out that I was into video games and worked with technology, they expressed so much interest in the games they loved, new anime they found, and so on. It did not take long for them to tell me that they were interested in PC gaming, playing games like Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, etc. And I had already taken mental note that I would build each kid a starting gaming computer. Mind you, this was several months before Christmas. I even asked my brother and sister-in-law if they were okay with the idea, and they gave me the green light. The plan was to gift these PCs to my nephews on Christmas, so I called my brother, and he told me that his Sil's sister, who I'll now refer to as EM, had invited him and his family over for Christmas. He then informed me that my mom and I were also invited. I was worried because I had only gotten gifts for my brother's kids. I mentioned this to him and he was like, don't worry dude, there'll be a gift exchange there, so everyone will be getting gifts. So I packed the gifts up, picked up my mom from her house, and went over. After an extremely boring night, we finally got to the gift exchange. EM and her child, EC, were hogging up most of the attention, where if anyone got a gift, they would immediately look for another gift to open, for entitled child or for herself. I kept my gifts hidden away until the very end. My nephews all received gifts and trinkets you'd find in 25-cent station or dollar stores boxes. Basically stocking stuffers. From EM. All the while, my brother and sister-in-law bought entitled child a new Nintendo Switch, games, and gift cards. I honestly felt bad for my nephews, as the best they'd gotten from any of their aunts or uncles before me was maybe a $25 Nintendo gift card. Once I confirmed all the gifts were given out, I handed my nephews their gifts. They opened the gifts and their faces lit up. They jumped up and hugged me like crazy, thanking me, one even being in tears. They were super excited to start playing on their computers. However, I felt daggers. I looked around and EM was just staring hard at me. The funny thing is, everyone else was happy for my nephews. They were looking at the computers and saying, "This is awesome." After a few minutes, entitled child comes over to me and says, "Hey, so where's my computer?" I looked at him and said, "Pardon me?" And he starts sobbing and says, "Where's my computer? Everyone else got one. I deserve one too." I was just like, sorry kiddo, but these were for these kids. Besides, you got a brand new Nintendo Switch. You'll enjoy that more. He then runs off crying. I felt a bit bad, but at the same time, I looked at the mountain of gifts entitled child got, whereas my nephews got scraps up until the PCs. And then entitled mom walks up and says, "Hey, so I know this is all last minute, but what would it take for you to give my son a PC?" I looked at her and said, "Well, the low-end PCs cost around the ballpark of $700. I'm sure you can get him one." She then says, "I don't think you can understand. You are his uncle. Therefore, you're responsible for giving my son a PC. So, when can I expect it?" My brother heard this, and he was about to say something. I looked at him and said, "Nah, dude, I got this." I turned to entitled mother and said, "Listen, you're taking quite a funny tone with me. Which one of these gifts were from you were for your nephews? The random plastic toy here? The pack of stickers? How much did you spend on them in total? Maybe less than $10? Who the hell are you or your kid to me? I'm not your brother-in-law, and I am not your kid's uncle. I have no responsibility towards you or him, and especially to buy a computer for him." At this point, EM's husband had grabbed EM and dragged her away. I looked at my brother and said, "I am never coming over to Christmas gatherings unless they happen at your home from now on, and I do not want to see her again." I later found out that EC's grandmother bought the entitled child a computer using whatever funds she had, which led me to see how the kid became spoiled. The irony is, this year, I ended up upgrading the nephew's computers with new hardware, and sure enough, entitled mom expected my brother and sister-in-law to give her kids stuff like a PS5, iPad, etc. All the while, they claimed to have given her gifts to the nephews by giving them $50 to split between the four of them. Side story. Apparently there was a time before my brother met sister-in-law where kids were given new iPhones for Christmas, as the younger child had just reached the age where having his own phone was acceptable. Entitled mom went off on my sister-in-law, stating that they were too young to have their own phones. However, entitled child saw that his cousins got new phones, and he threw a tantrum. Entitled mom's hypocrisy could not have shone brighter, as the very next day she took entitled child to get a brand new iPhone with a phone line, despite being about 5 years younger than my nephews. Note, my brother and sister-in-law have agreed and announced that they will no longer be participating in any of entitled mom's events due to their entitlement. Good for them! Oh my god, that lady is a handful and 3/2. And I think that's a half more of a hand than I possess. Maybe I have a third hand? I don't know. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. See you next time.